Hello, June. How are you, love? All right. See you after. Hey? All right. We're ready then.
Michael Philip Jagger, leader of the Rolling Stones for 10 years. He's on his way to another Australian concert. He's feeling the strain of performing in extreme heat and open-air venues.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Rolling Stones.
But the tour is going well. The Stones have been living up to their reputation as the world's #1 rock group. The only disappointments have been for the press. No hotel sieges, no mass hysteria, and no major scandals. On the Australian tour, the music was to be more important than the headlines. The 2 press conferences scheduled for Australia. Most of the Stones' touring party, or STP as their identification badges read, were there to meet the media.
I understand that. I'm never together drinking soda. Oh, what?
Leslie Perrin, public relations man for the Stones and known by them as Lunchtime. His other clients include John and Yoko, Frank Sinatra, the British Legal Association, and almost the Cray twins. He arrived 10 days before the group to coordinate press relations.
6:30. Soda water. Go on, left, right. Channel 10.
Peter Rudge, the Rolling Stones manager, the tour commander, the ringmaster. He has complete authority, which usually goes unquestioned. He looks and acts like a Cambridge Rugby Union coach. The roles are probably not dissimilar.
How long do you gentlemen feel that you will be?
Well, 5 more minutes. Yeah, it'll be only be 3 more minutes.
We discussed this.
5 minutes, not wait.
Hello.
Second on the left, Nicky Hopkins, pianist, one of the 3 extra musicians who now perform regularly with the Stones. Next to him, Keith Richard, guitarist and songwriter, maybe the creative genius within the group. Deadly nightshade, he won't live to 70.
What are we going to do? We're going to do one at a time?
Yeah.
One at a time, right?
Channel 7.
In the foreground, Bill Wyman, bass man, is planning an album of his own this year. Perhaps he'll be the first to leave the Stones. On the far right, Leroy Leonard, Mick's personal bodyguard. He's always on stage and gathers the clothes and jewels that Mick discards. Mick Taylor, guitarist, ex-John Mayall. He is into the music more than the performance. Jagger treats him gently, for he seems rather fragile. Charlie Watts, drummer. Audiences seem to identify strongly with him. On the surface, he seems the most approachable, yet he's easily bored. At press conferences, he relates more to his glass of Blue Nun.
Tends to be the figurehead. So we've got your records of something happening in the background. As a matter of fact, this is great. If we talk to you, Keith, this, you know, with respect, you look a bit like the regular Hesperus with the kind of gear you wear. But is that an effeminate gear that you've got on? You know, I mean, it's easy to be offensive. All I was asking was why you dress as you do.
Well, then don't be offensive.
No, I'm not intending to be. I'm trying to find out why you dress as well. Well, I'm sorry that it appears to be offensive. You know.
It's all right. We just dressed up a bit for you today, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you make yourself so accessible to the press? This is something that a lot of Australians were expecting, this sort of really big gap between the Stones and the press.
Well, I don't know on what they based that, because we were always very
accessible to the press last time we were here. The truth is, in Australia, that there's so many press here that you really have to sort of might as well do them. Though some of them are rude, really rude, and like you spend a lot of time with them, and like they're really nice to you, and then they turn out to be total hypocrites because all they want to do is write an article putting you down. So you feel, why? You know, why do I bother? I mean, it's only 2 days out of the whole tour cut.
It was common knowledge that the Rolling Stones were staying at Sydney's Kingsgate Hotel, but there were no screaming fans breaking down doors as there were in 1965. The Stone security guards had only one problem to deal with: a middle-aged American tourist couple who tried to force themselves on Jagger, causing members of the Stones' entourage to get stuck in the lift. Lillian Roxon, rock journalist working out of New York, in Australia covering the Stones tour.
Well, I think this is very tame here. I mean, the American tour was full of people crying and hysterical groupies and lots of Mick, 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 all that. This is very tame here, very quiet. Australians get more excited about Slade and Cat Stevens. I don't understand it. You know, is it because the Stones haven't been exposed enough here lately? I haven't worked it out. I mean, I've been staying at the hotel 3 floors below him, and I didn't see groupies running down in the elevator lift trying to get him. I didn't see kids crowding the lobbies.
There's been nothing like that.
I mean, I like girls, you know. I mean, I've been. What can I say? I like in some places you get the girls in hotels, and some places the security's so good you don't. I mean, in the American tour, you know, you get a lot of girls.
You could always call the security off.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't really care, you know. But I mean, whatever happens, happens, you know. I just take it all as it comes. You know? When we were going to Japan, it was going to be really, like, teeny bopper scene. In Hawaii, it's really, really young, you know.
It's gone far beyond that.
12 to 12-year-olds in Hawaii last week. Or was it 2 weeks ago? It's different in each country, you know.
Peter Rudge, the tour manager. What does he think of the absence of Australian kids trying to break the security?
In America, we didn't have anything. We didn't have any kids rushing in or out. I mean, is it straight? I mean, did Slade have a lot of kids rushing in and out?
They seem to have created more hysteria than the Stones have done. You know, they seem so sort of well organised and so mellow with the whole thing, really.
Yeah, well, that's what we've tried to, you know, that's exactly what we've tried to do. If 3 or 4 kids run across the tarmac when the Rolling Stones arrive, it sometimes does get interpreted as wild, hysterical scenes in the newspapers next day. And Mr. Jagger's problem, the Rolling Stones' problem, is that they are a bit famous and well known. And you know, if Fred Hubbard and the Blues Boys arrived in Australia and they were mobbed by 300 kids, it'd probably get 2 lines. But if Mick Jagger was embraced by a 60-year-old grandmother when he got to Melbourne Airport, it might possibly interpret it as a riot.
The Rolling Stones tour rocks into Melbourne this weekend. And to mark this great rock event, 3XY are giving away giant full-colour Rolling Stones tour posters and car stickers. They're available free from Walsh's Jeans Dungeon, corner of Swanston and Burke Street City. It's just another free Stones goodie from your official Rolling Stone station.
Hello, this is Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones.
Melbourne's Tullamarine Airport is deserted, although one Melbourne newspaper has released flight details of the Rolling Stones' arrival. The 26-member entourage who had flown into Australia with 10 tons of equipment has collected an extra 16 people, mainly security guards, in Sydney. The only crowds are here to greet is Beatitude Maximus V, Melkite Patriarch of Antioch in the Orient, in Melbourne for the Eucharistic Congress. Did you go out to the airport at all when the Stones arrived?
No.
Why not? Don't you think they're worth that?
No, I listen to their music.
That's all you're interested in? Do you think a lot of people then aren't prepared to sort of go do that thing like going to the airport, trying to get autographs, going to the hotel, hiding in lifts?
Yeah, they did.
I think we're growing out of that myself. I think, you know, like that was back in the Beatles days, you know. People don't do it anymore. They come to hear their music more.
If he wasn't a rock musician, he would still be, you know, the celebrity he is now, without a question, without any doubt at all. And therefore the pressures from that angle are immense on this tour. And it's one of my big moans all the time is that this isn't a rock and roll tour. It almost becomes impossible to run it like a rock and roll tour. You can't just walk on any plane. You can't just shamble into any hotel and hang around the lobby. You can't just walk down the street because, I mean, when he goes to a concert, you know, it's on the front page of the paper, which is fine. But I mean, there's very other few, you know, the Beatles maybe, that would get that type of spread on a major newspaper just because he rolled up quite unannounced at a concert, you know, 2 hours after he got to Melbourne.
There was some comment in Rolling Stone in the article following the American tour. The music was almost a byproduct. In fact, that was said by Peter Rudge, that it was sort of between gigs, you know, which is the exciting time of being with the Stones.
No, that's sort of, for me, it's bullshit. I mean, for me, the exciting part is playing, and the rest of it's just hanging out and just living in hotels, and which is really dull. And you try and make it interesting, you know. You play, you think of everything to do, you can go out, and usually when you go out it's a drag because like you get very selective about what you want to do. I mean, I don't like going out to just sort of, you always go and you always end up in the wrong place, you know.
Like you were saying like last night.
Whatever, you know, you just end up in the wrong place, the wrong girl, you know. And you wish, oh, I think I should stay at home and play records. It's better, you know.
This is home in Melbourne, interchangeable with any other luxury hotel. It's where, at 3 a.m, Anna Menzies types up the daily information sheet for the entourage, what's arranged for each day, and what vitamin pills to take. Entertainment is usually confined to the 2 floors that the touring party occupies, and there's not much use made of the cars, ready to take them anywhere at any hour. Those who spend most of their time out of the hotel are the tour heavyweights, the technicians and sound men. It's a matter of adjusting the basic stage, sound and lighting equipment to the local venue. The production manager for both the American and Australian tours is Patrick Stansfield.
I look at the venues and I meet the managers, meet the electrical contractors and the local personnel, the key people, give measurements, and there's just a million details that people want clarified, you see. Then I come back with the crew and, well, we supervise the setup. Most places we aren't as fortunate as we are in Australia to have a permanent crew that travels with us. We have one promoter here. Normally we have a different promoter every 2 or 3 shows.
There's a sort of interchange of energy. If the audience has a lot of energy, otherwise you have to rely on your own. It's not only energy, it's kind of like adrenaline and stuff. If there's a lot of energy in the audience, it pushes you to work much harder.
The lyrics and have changed incredibly over the years. How have your attitudes changed then into your songwriting?
You just write about what you see and what you feel, and that's what I do, you know. So, you know, I mean, most of American lyric writers over the last 5 years, all they've done is write about peace in Vietnam, you know. So I wonder what they're going to write about now, you know. I mean, I just, you know, I mean, the traditional sort of rock and roll song or pop song is like just about women, you know, or love, or. But I mean, that's a pretty good tradition, you know.
So what are you feeling, sort of in a radical way or a sexual way? You know, you've never really got into a lot of political stuff. The Stones never have, and there was fairly, you know, sexually based songs.
Yeah, well, I've always felt more sexual than political, you know. I could never get that worked up about Edward Heath, you know. I mean, so it's, you know, just whatever reaches you first, you know. So I guess I'm kind of short-sighted. Mostly it's between me and Mick. But you usually find that a song is usually written like 80–90% by one person, you know. And we usually help, you know. I mean, Mick comes to me and say, look, I got this. And I say, well, I've got one like that, you know. So we sort of stick them both together and see if they work out, you know. And but usually a song is written over 50% by one person, you know, and then the other, somebody, you know, either I'll help Mick or Mick will add a bit to one of mine, you know, and we'll get it together like that.
It's very different when you're playing on your own, in a home, you know, and sort of humming to yourself, and playing with like 5 people, because all the riffs that you play become different, and they get turned around, the beat changes, you suddenly discover that this works and this doesn't work, and you make this up, you put this together. Oh, you know, and then you come out with what you've written, which may or may not work, or it may be too slow, and you sort of double the time. I was right. All my songs are always too slow. I mean, they always work out to be going at twice the speed in the end when they're recorded than what I've written. That's all right. I mean, I've gotten used to it.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Oldham got Mick and I into writing songs because I was, you know, I never thought of doing anything more than playing a guitar. And Mick never ever thought any more than singing, you know. And it was Oldham that said, come on, you've got to get it together and start writing, you know.
Is it you then who draws a sort of Robert Johnson inspiration? You know, that he obviously wasn't going to last very long, he burned himself out. Is that how you feel about writing about yourself?
No, I mean, I don't feel that particularly about it. I'm too sturdy. But I felt that about Brian. I mean, everybody did, and everybody knew that. Even Brian felt it, you know, that he wasn't going to be around that long, you know. And although it was a shock when it actually happened, nobody was really that surprised, you know. There are people, I mean, I'm sure that everybody's got those feelings about certain people. Everybody knows people that you just have that feeling about that they're not going to be 70 years old ever, you know. Not everybody makes it, you know.
Thank you. It's one more day of the Australian tour, and at Montsalvat, the second and last press conference in Australia. Despite the security guards posted all around the property, no one even attempted to break the security. The castle was built by 1930s Melbourne bohemians who'd be pretty bored at today's press conference come party. The commercial television stations try to put some life into it.
There is a story going around that you someone tried to smuggle some pot into the country. Is that
who did?
What kind of pot?
I don't understand.
Chinese pot, or is that? I don't understand the question. It's not true.
I don't understand the question.
I thought the question was quite plain enough.
Someone was trying to know. I don't understand the question. No, I'm very sorry, sir. There was nobody trying to smuggle pot into the country. Phone up anybody you want.
Mr. Grassley, our immigration minister the other
day.
Ask him.
Ask him. Phone him up and
defended you very strongly and came out very much in your favour. What do you think of him?
Well, he was saying, for instance, one important thing that he wanted to put across was that Australia wanted to be part of Southeast Asia, which is very, what's the word?
Admirable.
Admirable, I thought, you know, after years of isolation. I mean, I hope, the only way I can see that happening is if more Southeast Asians come here. Because it's very difficult to be part of Southeast Asia when you don't understand that mentality. But he was very nice. Never said in that story. It never. So, you know, if you start on that, you know, that's why I was so rude to you, because you started on that. If you want to follow up in TV journalism what rubbish they dish out in the press, then you're pretty low.
Just take it from the back there, don't
So watch out, boy.
The Australian press certainly tried to find the sensational headlines. In Auckland, mixed hotel bed sheets auctioned for $400. 2 ounces of grass-like substance found in the charter plane carrying the Stones' equipment to Brisbane. But there was no direct link with the Stones, and the issue was dropped. Back on page 1 in Adelaide, 40 fans arrested as a crowd of 4,000 tried to storm one of the concerts, but no really big news. And in Sydney, some last desperate headlines before the Stones departed: forged tickets at the Sydney concerts.
Individually, or you can do it collectively if you wish to begin with.
Les Perrin is the man who tried to keep things in perspective with the press. He's been 7 years with the Stones. He's followed the change in the public's attitude towards them.
We did notice 2 years ago that people listen a lot more to the music than they waste their energies on extrovert exercises of for their own benefit. They like the music and they listen to the music. They get involved in the music. And again, reverting to Auckland, all these thousands standing with their hands above their heads, clapping in time with the music. Some of them singing along as the lyrics of things like Jumpin' Jack Flash and so on. It was something quite unique, and I don't think there's any decline in the excitement. It's just channeled in a different direction.
No, I come from music.
Do you think that whole hysteria thing is dying down now?
No, not really, because they haven't been out here for ages.
Have you ever been to a rock concert where that whole hysteria thing has happened in Australia?
Yes.
What group would it have been?
Oh, Joe Cocker.
I've been a Rolling Stones fan for years, and they're really good. They've slackened off slightly. I like their older music, but I still really like them.
What about going to the hotel? Would you be prepared to sort of find out where they're staying and try and see them at the hotel at all?
No, not really. It'd be too much bother.
You don't think it's worth it then?
Oh, probably is if you knew how to get there and everything, but I couldn't be bothered.
What would you be looking for if you went there anyway?
Mick Jagger.
Oh, you go and see Mickey Jagger, don't you? You like Mickey Jagger, you go and see him.
I think that most people came for the music, and that's what I came for, and for all the kids that are around. You can see that there are millions of kids.
You know, we're not out to take over the country or the world or anything else, man. We're just rock and roll musicians, and that's all we are.
Yeah, I think the Mafia had an easier job to get in here than we would.
Yeah.